Okay, 5-10-20 rule. This is something that, as far as I can tell, we created. This is
Yes.
how you can connect with people. And I give a lot of credit to Slade O'Brien for coming up with this, because this is how you get decision makers in your community to get on your side.
Absolutely.
So, Adam, let's take it right in. What do we got? 5-10-20 rule.
Yeah, so the 5-10-20 rule is essentially a way to kind of map out someone's sphere of influence, right? So the idea here is you have 5 people that have a very close relationship with a decision maker, 10 civic leaders that are in that decision maker's district or town or area, county, wherever their jurisdiction is, and then 20 voters, 20 people, 20 activists that if they were to call up and really put some pressure on, they could sway that decision maker's, train of thought one way or another. Yes switching to no, no switching to a yes. But it's all about first identifying the right decision maker and then going through and identifying each of the 5, 10, and 20.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull my screen up here, and we're going to talk about this 5-10-20 rule.
Yeah.
And we're going to make this look a lot simpler, because this one gets pretty in-depth.
Yeah.
So we're going to start. Our first person is our decision maker.
Yes.
So here's what I always use, your state representative. Okay. They're local, maybe 20, 30,000 people in a district. This is someone that we can have a big influence on that a lot of people know. So we're going to start. Our state representative is our decision maker, and we need them to vote for what we want them to vote for.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
this is one thing that I think shocks a lot of people. Whenever you are throwing out the numbers of 5, 10, 20, the initial pushback is, wow, that just seems like such a small amount. And when I worked at the state capitol here in Oklahoma, I mean, we literally had a rule, like, if 10 people even called on a bill, if like 10 people called, like that's how we would vote.
And hey, if 10 people have that emotional level to find that number and make that communication, that's huge. That's where people want. You're like, oh, this person cares that much, and all these people care that much. There's something to this.
Yeah.
So we have our decision maker. Here's the 5. These are 5 people with a close relationship to that decision maker.
So this is essentially, I mean, what I would say when I train this is, these are 5 people that if they called them at like 2:00 in the morning, they called the decision maker is going to answer. These are your folks, like maybe it's their business partner. Maybe it's their, like I said, if they have a pharmacy, maybe it's their, their manager. And the first thing is they're going to answer it. Maybe it's their wife. Maybe it's their mentor, their pastor, someone that is extremely close to them that they not only go to for help, but they also go to for, just about anything, really. I mean, these are people that, like I said, if they called them up, they're going to listen immediately.
They already built that relationship and that trust, so now they can be educated about an issue and motivated to get out there and make a difference.
Yeah.
Now, I have been a 5 before. I have been one of those 5. The example I use in this is similar. That if you imagine a state representative, they just drove 2 hours back from the Capitol. They're at home. It's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. They are done with their day. They don't care. They are done politicking for the day. They've got their drink. They want to turn on TV, and their phone rings. Who are the 5 people that they're answering? Now, for one of my state representatives, I was that 5, and I did have to call her at 8 o'clock. And she goes, Jason, I just took my first sip. This better be good. And it was good because she was voting on something the next day. And I was like, I need to talk to you about this. I was asked to bring this up to you.
Yeah.
So those 5 people that when they're at the end of that long day, they're going to call. And I will tell you, our grassroots activists, glatraining.org, our certified advocates, our folks who go through our trainings become those 5.
Yep.
They become the experts in the community. They become the trusted voice in getting elected and reelected and doing the right thing for your community. Our folks become those 5s very quickly. Next up, we have our 10 leaders with influence. Now, there's a lot more of our advocate graduates here in this group as well. If you're advocating around a cause, you're in that cause. Now, I have 2 groups that I talk about with this. the civic leaders who are there because they have a voice. Maybe it's the leader of the interfaith council, not your particular pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the fire chief, the police chief, the deputy chief, the town administrator. I say during business hours, and Adam, let me know what you think about this. During business hours, who automatically makes it through the gatekeeper every time they call?
Yeah, I mean, for me, thinking back to my days at the legislature, when I was a legislative assistant, if the superintendent of any of the schools called, he's probably going to get right through. Unless there's just a huge meeting going on. If there's a large, like the chamber president, and we've got a bill that affects business coming up, they're probably going to get through. The pastors, like you said, the ministerial alliances and stuff like that. Those are the folks that, head up these prayer breakfasts that bring people together, the chamber coffees that, every elected official goes to. They're on a first name basis with these people. Every time they come to a football game, the superintendent sits right next to them and chats up and says, how's everything going? Those are the people that have the closest influence that, like you said, during business hours, if they hit the gatekeeper's saying, come on in, we're going to talk to you. We want to hear what you have to say.
Exactly. All right. So that's good. And we'll come back. We'll dive into these a little bit deeper, but I want to get this full influence here. 20 people in the district. 20 people that you can call, that you, as someone who's trying to influence the decision maker, 20 people that can pick up a phone, grab a sign, do some sort of grassroots action to influence that decision maker.
Yeah, and every person that goes through our training is one of these people. Every person lives in a district. Every person is able to call, influence, impact their elected officials. And we talk about that more in the fifth session. But a lot of times people don't think about that. And like I said, when I was working there at the Capitol, if 10 people called, let alone 20, if 20 people called, it's like, we're going to write a bill about the issue that you have. Because that's just how important, elected officials are trying to maintain themselves. Mm-hmm. Elected officials are trying to stay in there. And so what I always tell folks is if you call, more than likely you get a couple of your friends, you get 20 people in the district, it's going to make a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. I was giving this training a few years ago, and someone mentioned this to me, and so they go, well, 20 people, that's a pretty big protest. In my area, I'm like, oh, yeah, we're in rural Virginia. You bring out 20 people with signs, that's going to get the media. Yeah. Now, I put another twist on this as well, because this can be positive too. If you have, after that decision maker, where, we're at our state legislature level, if they vote the way you want to, if on the town square you have 20 people holding their signs and saying with a thank you, if they're saying thank you, Adam, cheering thank you, Adam on Saturday afternoon, everybody's going to see that. And that decision maker is going to fall in love with you.
Yeah.
You are going to be their favorite person because, you worked in the legislature. It's every day people are saying, here's why you're a terrible legislator. But if they didn't have to plan for 20 people to come out and say, thank you, you did right publicly, there's media, there's help, and you're now, if not a 10, you're a 5.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that I'll just echo on that is you see a lot of times people will, they gather together and they do that, but there's that opposition that's standing on the other side of Facebook, right? And they are telling them how wrong they are. I can't believe you did this. Oh, you made a terrible decision. But those people aren't going to show up. And so when you have actual people that are, in the office, thanking them, dropping off letters, holding their sign saying, hey, thank you so much for, going our way with this. We want to go and knock some doors for you. We want to go out and, help you get reelected. And we want to tell folks about the good work that you're doing. Because a lot of times elected officials, they have to make tough decisions, right? There's some tough bills that, their colleagues in the state house and the state senate may not agree with. And they're getting pressure from the people in their district. I'll tell you 9 times out of 10, they're going to go with the people in their district because those are the folks that are going to reelect them, not
Right.
the majority whip or the minority whip or the speaker or the leader or anything like that. It's the voters. And at the end of the day, we hold people accountable through that.
Yeah. And just to highlight that, if you walk up to that leadership and you say to them, so in my district right now, I got a call from my two closest advisors, from the police chief, the fire chief, and the superintendent. And I have 20 people yesterday outside of my office with signs saying, please vote yes on this bill. The leadership is going to say, okay, well, you clearly have to do. Like, they're going to take that very seriously if you need to go counter to your party leadership. So
Yeah.
this is a huge piece of influence, our 5-10-20 rule.
This session of our level 1 is called the advocacy toolbox because this is just one tool that you can use. There's many other tools that we teach on whenever we come in and we partner with organizations. Like I said, if you check us out on glatraining.org, you can find those resources, the things that we have to offer. And we're going to keep talking about them week after week. What are the tools that people are actually putting to use? Because this is, like I said, this is just one. This might be your hammer, but you're going to need a wrench. You're going to need, you're going to need a pair of pliers. You're going to need everything that you can have, especially when it comes down to, these tough votes where, maybe we're doing a 5-10-20 here. Maybe we need a power map over here for someone's election. We need to put pressure on them in different ways. So we want to give every person listening to this the tools necessary to be the most impactful and the most influential in your community when it comes to, working with elected officials, putting pressure on elected officials, because at the end of the day, they work for us.
Yep. Yeah, and all this preparation, it takes a lot of work. And I think I'm going to close us out with a quote, and this is from a training when I used to do the 5-10-20, involved with everything else. Sun Tzu, every battle is won or lost before it's ever fought. Mm-hmm. And in all of these, when you are prepared, you can make a plan and then adjust your plan as you go.
Yep.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll be back again, I'm guessing next week, talking about a new topic.
We'll go again.